Welcome back, Reds. Today on Anfield Wire, we've got all the latest Liverpool transfer news, predicted lineup versus Brighton, and Arne Slot's thoughts on Van Dijk. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from Anfield. Liverpool told how it can tweak Harvey Elliott agreement to unlock loanee at Aston Villa. Harvey Elliott has made just 7 appearances for Aston Villa this season, with the Villains reluctant to use him due to their reservations over triggering the buy option in the loan agreement. Liverpool has been urged to tweak the terms of Harvey Elliott's loan agreement at Aston Villa in order to allow the youngster to feature more frequently for the remainder of the season. Elliott joined Villa on a season-long loan deal last summer, with the deal including an obligation for Villa to make the move permanent on the condition that the player made 10 appearances in all competitions. He made 5 appearances for Villa in the opening few weeks of the season, but was then exiled for several months due to Unai Emery's reservations over the player. Emery admitted at the beginning of January that he hadn't been playing Elliott because he didn't want to trigger the compulsory buy option in the loan agreement. Elliott returned to Villa's squad recently and made substitute appearances against RB Salzburg and Brentford to take his appearance tally for the Villains up to 7. However, Villa's stance on Elliott's future is believed to remain unchanged, leaving the player in an uncertain position with several months of the season remaining. Former Villa chief executive Keith Wyness believes that Liverpool should increase the number of games that Elliott needs to play for Villa in order for the Midlands club to have to buy him. Well, I think it's both clubs that need to resolve the situation together, Wyness told Football Insider. They have really got to be sensible, look at the kid and his own future. They've got to do what's best for him to a degree. This is one case where I actually do feel a little bit sorry for the player. He thought he was going to make the move, get his 10 appearances, and that he'd play a bigger role than that with Villa. I think it would be fair to put him up to 15 or 20 appearances. Then I think from Liverpool's point of view that if he's doing well, it will increase his value in the summer for other clubs that could come in. But I think there could be a deal done, and I think we should be able to get there. Both clubs have got an interest in getting this done, so they have just got to work it out and go on from there. Last week, Villa boss Emery admitted that Elliott's career is stagnating at Villa, but said that Liverpool have the key to resolve the issue. I spoke with him, Emery said. We have been fair because there are 2 ways. One way is sport, the second is business. We'll be fair in case because we are trying it, and I told him I spoke a few times with Harvey. Now I am opening the door to play with us, because he can help us, but it's not only on my side. The other side is Liverpool if they are taking off the clauses they have to play matches and for us to buy him compulsory. You are going to play here with us, it's a sport decision. But now it's a sport decision and a business decision. My sport decision is still there. You are deserving to play, we need your qualities in the field, you are going to play. But in case the clauses are still there and now it is Liverpool, they have the key. Predicted Liverpool team versus Brighton as Arne Slot makes changes. Arne Slot's Liverpool side welcomes Brighton to Anfield in the 4th round of the FA Cup on Saturday, and this is how we think the Reds will line up for the game. Arne Slot often uses cup games to hand minutes to players that are on the periphery of the first team, but he suggested changes will be kept to a minimum this weekend due to the quality of the opposition. The Reds welcome fellow Premier League outfit Brighton to Anfield in the 4th round of the FA Cup, aiming to keep their hopes of winning domestic silverware this season alive. On the possibility of blooding some youngsters against the Seagulls, Slot said, I am always looking at the younger players. A few of them come closer and closer to first-team football. A few already had it, like Rio Ngumaha and Trey Nyoni, and games like this could be an option as well, but it is about finding the right balance. However, Slot suggested that the caliber of Liverpool's opponent makes it less likely that he will field a much less experienced side. We play a very strong team with Brighton, and getting the right balance with who to play is something to think about, Slot added. Of course it gives us more questions. That it is Brighton. If we had a different opponent, then I maybe make other choices. In goal, Georgi Mamardashvili will expect to come in for a listen, while Joe Gomez could line up at right back following the injury to Wataru Endo on Wednesday night. Were Gomez to line up at right back, there would not be much room for rotation in the center of defense, unless Slot decided to take an unexpected decision and line up with an inexperienced academy defender. Considering Liverpool does not play for another 8 days after this game, Slot does not need to give much thought to resting anybody, so Virgil van Dijk and Jérémy Jacquet should carry on in the center of defense. At left back, Andy Robertson deserves to stay in the team, but Milos Kerkez could come back in. Dominic Szoboszlai will almost certainly start after serving a one-game suspension against Sunderland, and he will return to the midfield alongside Ryan Gravenberch, who starts virtually every game for the Reds. Rio Ngumaha deserves another opportunity to excite the Anfield faithful off the left flank. Slot has suggested that he won't make too many changes, so Mohamed Salah, Florian Wirtz, and Hugo Ekitike could all stay in from Wednesday to complete the lineup. Liverpool $47 million transfer move should not be forgotten after Jérémy Jacquet deal. Liverpool sold Jarell Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen in the summer, with the England international doing well in the Bundesliga and the Champions League, learning valuable experiences given the injury problems and lack of form that have dogged Liverpool at centre-back this season. It is easy to wonder how different things might have been, for the player and the club, had Jarell Quansah remained at Anfield last summer. But the senior England international, who turned 23 last month, needed a guarantee of minutes. With Virgil van Dijk and Jérémy Jacquet ahead of him in the pecking order, a move away made sense. He could have filled in at right back, but that isn't his best role. Jarell is fast, strong, and comfortable on the ball, Arne Slot said at the back end of last season. He has every ingredient a centre-back for this club should have. Now the last parts should be consistency in his performances. To achieve that, Quansah needed to play regularly. As a result, a $47 million, £35 million move to Bayer Leverkusen was agreed, with a buyback clause that comes into effect from 2027. I have been learning from some of the best players around me at the time at Liverpool, Quansah said in October. Being able to do that has been so good for my career. It has always been a big part of it. At this part of my career, I need hundreds of games to be where I want to be. I think overall that's why the decision was made and why I thought going abroad was best for me. Quansah has started the majority of Leverkusen's games so far in the Bundesliga and the Champions League. Aside from 4 fixtures, 2 where he was injured, 1 where he was suspended, and 1 where he was rested, he has been a mainstay. Bayer Leverkusen brought in a lot of new faces last summer, and Quansah is one of the few who has actually managed to nail down a starting spot. The general consensus is that he's having a solid first season. He's settled in well and shown what he's about, even if he's not quite among the best centre-backs in the league yet. Erik ten Hag was the manager who signed Quansah, and Kasper Julmond has since taken over. But even amid the potential chaos that might have caused, Leverkusen sits 6th in the Bundesliga standings, and the former Liverpool man has done well. What really stands out is his composure. He's brave on the ball and his passing range is top class for a centre-back, Gerolf says. On top of that, he has good pace, which is crucial for a Leverkusen side playing with a high defensive line. That said, there's still room to grow. To reach the very top, he needs to cut out lapses in concentration and add a bit more physicality to truly dominate his duels. While Liverpool has already snapped up Giovanni Leone and lined up an $83 million, £60 million deal for Jérémy Jacquet, Quansah could still return at some point. If he does, he will be a much better player for the experience. Short-term, Quansah would have been useful for Slot this season, but the longer-term normally takes precedence at Liverpool. He needed a platform to develop, and at Bayer Leverkusen he has found one. Liverpool transfer news as Yan Diomande, definitely, an option and release clause nears. Liverpool transfer news as Yan Diomande is definitely being watched by the club. While the Reds could take advantage of a release clause set to become active soon, Liverpool looks as though it could be set for another busy summer. Although there's plenty of work to do before the transfer window opens again. Arne Slot's team is in FA Cup action today against Brighton, but the Reds' biggest priority lies in ensuring they qualify for next season's Champions League, which looks to be a tough task as they chase down Manchester United and Chelsea. Being at Europe's top table again next season could prove to be crucial, especially if the club is to add to Jérémy Jacquet with some more big signings, with yet more rumors regarding the Reds' potential business. Yan Diomande, RB Leipzig. Yan Diomande is definitely being watched by Liverpool, with the Reds in the market for a new winger this summer, David Lynch has told Anfield Index. It's claimed that the RB Leipzig star is on Liverpool's radar, although it is pointed out that he is also being eyed up by a number of other clubs. Lynch, though, admits he would be surprised if the Reds don't sign a new winger in the summer, with a change in their approach making Diomande's signing more likely. Liverpool looks to be more willing to spend big on younger players, as made evident by the signing of Jacquet, and even with just 20 Bundesliga appearances to his name, it might be willing to make the jump for the 19-year-old. Denzel Dumfries, Inter Milan, Liverpool could take advantage of a new release clause for Denzel Dumfries this summer, according to La Gazzetta dello Sport. The Reds were linked with the Inter Milan fullback during the winter window, and Sempre Inter claims they are still monitoring the 29-year-old. Dumfries will be available as a €25 million, $30 million. Release clause becomes active in July, and it's suggested that the Dutch international wants to leave Inter, although his departure will depend on what offers he receives. Dumfries would be a great signing if he were a few years younger. Now 29, and he'll be 30 by the time the summer rolls around. This just isn't a signing Liverpool should make, especially for $30 million. Signing him on loan in the winter made a bit more sense, although even then, there seemed to be little chance of that actually happening, especially since he's still recovering from an injury. This doesn't feel like it has much legs to it. I heard what Arne Slot said about Virgil van Dijk's form. He's spot on. Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk is having another strong season, with Arne Slot praising his consistency ahead of this weekend's FA Cup tie against Brighton at Anfield. Hen assessing Virgil van Dijk's performances these days, the bar has been set so high that it is easy to forget just how good a centre-back the Liverpool captain remains. That can be the only explanation for some of the criticism that he has received this season. He isn't the same sauntering, all-conquering defender that he was at his peak, but he was so far ahead of the rest of the players in his position in the world game at that point that, even when he is on the way down, he is still the benchmark. 34-year-old Van Dijk still has authority and assurance at the back, even though there has been chaos around him at times this season. He does have the odd mistake in him, but there is no one better around the Premier League and beyond. At least as impressive as his ability level as a modern centre-back, though where he is required to do a lot more with the ball on a technical level than those who played in the decades before him, is his sheer relentlessness. So far this season, Van Dijk has started all but 2 fixtures for Arne Slot, both of which came in the League Cup. As Slot said on Friday, he rarely has to sit out a game. Vital, of course, Slot said on Friday when he was asked about his skipper. If he's not playing, there are no options left. The same for Ibu Konate, by the way, although Joe Gomez is coming back now. He's been fit every single time, and I've said this before, how big of an accomplishment that is for a player of his age, because he's not the youngest anymore, but he plays every 3 days. That's not a coincidence, because if I look at how much work he puts in on a daily basis to recover, to be ready for the next. Immediately when the game finishes to the moment the next game starts, and I've said before that it's always harder to stay fit in a season where a team and he have had so many setbacks. So it tells you a lot about what he does off the pitch in recovery, but definitely also about his mental strength that he's able to stay with the team. And not only stay with the team, but also bring in very good performances and lead the team, as he always does on and off the pitch by example. That's also what he did Wednesday night in Sunderland. Van Dijk has remained a constant throughout his Liverpool tenure. And with his contract only having a year left when the summer arrives, it won't be long until the chatter turns to whether he could sign an extension. By the time his current deal finishes, Van Dijk will be almost 36. He will be with us for that period of time and maybe even longer if he keeps staying fit as he is now, Slot said last week. Unless things dramatically change in the next few months, discussions about a new contract could soon become a major talking point once again.